Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics, They're Bad For You, my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, Comic Freak. Today we're going to be reviewing Powers of X, Issue 1. We'll start off with the cover. The cover done by R.B. Silva and Arturo Penandito is good. I really like the art. I think the whole thing altogether is bad, though, because I feel it's just derivative and it just doesn't strike me as really great. But the artwork is good. It's well drawn and well colored. Even if the colors tend to blend into the background with some of the characters. I mean, I think it's colored like that on some of them. But Professor X and Moira McTaggart should probably have been more prominently colored so they stand out more. So it's a good cover. The first page, or at least the page we're starting off on, shows a very well drawn picture of Professor X in both of his regular guise and in his X persona now, with that big bucket head he has on his cranium he now wears. You know, the thing that looks very much like the Maker. Now, here we see Charles Xavier first meeting Moira McTaggart. And I gotta really say, I like the way she's drawn and the way her way she looks with those earrings of hers. They really make her look cute and stand out. Here, Moira is now coming out to Xavier to tell him about what is going to happen in the future. If you've read the second issue of House of X, then you'll know what that means. And in like that issue, she says, if it isn't a dream, if it actually happens, Charles, right before he reads her mind. And I love this artwork. This is really good drawn artwork. Better lately than from Marvel than we've seen. Though I have to say, this first issue, I think the story could have been better. I think it's a bit dull, even though there are fantastic things that happen in it. And now we come to where Mystique is coming out of one of those Karakora portals that the X-Men have been able to use by using the island of Krakoa. She's come back to the island to give Magneto and Charles Xavier a flash drive on information that they were able to get from Mr. Fantastic and Iron Man from Damage Control. Damage Control had been holding the blueprints and, well, basically mothballed pieces of technology from both of those geniuses. Magneto requested that she bring them to him and to Charles Xavier because they had use of further technology. Here we see Charles Xavier in his X persona telling, "So you're not going to help our people out of the goodness of your heart?" And she says, "Yeah, I need more." And he responds by saying, "Well, both me and Magneto also have use of your talents, so I guess we're even." It comes out to this, that they are making banner that they're both using each other to fulfill their goals. That of which being that anyone who lives on Krakoa, the island, owes that nation their utmost respect and loyalty. And we see Magneto and Mystique in the background with a villainous-looking Professor X about to look over the information in that flash drive. Now we flash forward to the future, where we see a mutant who is bald, but we can see into her brain through her, well, see-through skull, who's being attacked by Sentinels as well as their human compatriots, while we see our two characters we saw on the cover, and we learned their names, Rasputin and Red Cardinal. Rasputin says to Red Cardinal, "Well, priest, you can go and get that flower ready for us to go back through to Krakoa, but I'm going to rescue our teammate." And we see her brash into combat, wielding the sword of magic. And it's a cool looking image. And the artwork is good. I just feel like this story is rather lackluster. After the battle, after they weren't able to rescue their friend, we switch over to a futuristic city. It's New York or maybe not, I'm not quite sure. We see one particular tower in the center with a bunch of floodlights going around it. And we see that it's actually the main citadel of the Sentinels. Particularly, this is where we'll find the villain Nimrod with his Eastwile Omega Sentinel or Alpha Sentinel compatriot. Surprisingly, Nimrod, or at least this version of Nimrod, seems to be rather sad for the fact that he had to do such violence to this young woman, even if she is a mutant and his enemy. He tells her that it doesn't matter that she's going to not tell them the information that's in her head, because they're going to extract it from her by melting her in a vat of nanoacid and just download it to a computer drive. Meanwhile, Red Cardinal and Rasputin manage to get back to Krakoa and tell their superiors what is going on, as well as the information that they lost their friend. And their superiors turn out to be Wolverine, Magneto, Black Tom Cassidy, and Zorn, of all people. Now, why Magneto is still alive, even though this is 100 years into the future. Wolverine of course, has his regenerative healing factor, but he's still aged, but appears to be still somewhat youthful with muscles. But what is surprising is both Zorn and Black Tom have survived into the future. Now we come to a page where Jonathan Hickman has just written in text, much like the original Watchmen comics, where he explains certain events and places in the future, or rather what has happened in certain places in the Marvel Universe that we have never seen before, what is happening. Here he is explaining in these pages how many mutants are living on Earth, as well as in Shi'ar space, and it turns out there are a couple of thousand in off-world and off on an alien planet, while there are only 8 mutants left on asteroid K, circling Earth, who are fighting the Sentinels right now. It turns out most mutants are now Shi'ar citizens and are basically being farmed for recruits for the Imperial Guard. Meanwhile, we've traveled even further into the future, where we see a future mutant who has somehow become friends with apparently a, downgraded or upgraded version of Nimrod, who's now basically a little drone flying around his head. This mutant is now basically, at least from the bald head, he reminds me of Charles Xavier. Well, he apparently is now the de facto overseer of the last humans who are alive 1,000 years into the future, and he's herded them all into these domes. They're biodomes, like from that cheesy 90s movie, or where, I guess in real life, scientists do proper scientific work. Well, here they're basically just zoos where the last humans are living like wild people in basically either forests or jungles, being taken care of by the mutants who now rule Earth. See, since the mutants were living out in space and being Shi'ar citizens, there was a movement among them that they get the Shi'ar Empire to help them retake Earth, because they might be mutants, but they're still humans, and they still want Earth back. And we end the issue off with what looks like to be Adam and Eve, and then we go to a bunch of words that Rasputin, the female mutant we just saw, what she says about humans and the Sentinels. You've forgotten that machines have no soul, and that the humans lost theirs a long time ago. Rasputin. And, well, this issue was decent. It wasn't great, but it was maybe better than the first issue of House of X, but nowhere near as good as House of X issue 2. But it does play into that series. I'd say get it if you're reading both series, but if you don't, well, you might be missing something. But I'd say this issue is good, but just decent and good. Now, if you like this review, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you have not subscribed, please subscribe to me on YouTube at Read Comics They're Bad For You. Then I want you to go over to BitChute and subscribe to Comic Freak. And remember, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And please, if you could you share this on social media? I want this video to be shared on Twitter as well as Facebook, because YouTube isn't, well, sharing or promoting any videos anymore for their hard-working creators. So could you please help me and share my video out there with other folks? And also, remember, keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book, Scumdogs. And I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.